I'm recording. Hey, sorry. I'm St. Bernard's in someone else's house because my internet went out today. So he's not sure what's happening. Anywho, welcome Be Fit. Welcome Boomerang Wellness. I'm so pumped to kind of like combine everybody because for those of you who are at Summit, our teams had an absolute blast together. And I'm super stoked to have you guys join us and basically for everybody here from Rockstar Marie and kill it. So I'm gonna go on mute before this little man goes nuts. But I'm super excited to learn and have everybody here and combine and share ideas. So Marie, take it away.
Awesome. Okay, and I'm just going to do a real quick mute of everybody. Oh, no, I can't. Britt, can you mute everybody because you're host? Just so I don't get squirrel brain. I have a tendency to get squirrely. Actually, I'll start my call with this funny story. I went to Starbucks yesterday to work because I needed to get out of the house because sometimes I go a little crazy by myself. And I told the barista that I was having a squirrely day, and she drew a squirrel without ears on my cup. Oh, can you guys hear me? Huh. Okay, did you hear my story? Yes? No? That's all good. A little bit of it? Anyways, Teresa drew me a squirrel with no ears in my cup. It was phenomenal. All right, so I'm going to start because I know that this call is limited because Zoom is super sweet, and while it's free, it's also free for a reason. Yeah, we got about 20 minutes here, maybe longer, I'm not sure, I think 20. So I am coming to talk to you guys tonight on my top tips for staying consistent and crushing your goals. And truly, this can be used throughout any area of your life. It doesn't have to be just coaching, but for our purposes, I'll be using coaching examples. So I'm just going to rip through them. If you miss any, you can always listen to the recording, shoot Britt a message, shoot me a message, that kind of thing. I don't know that there'll be time for questions at the end, but I'm always open. My inbox is always open. So if you've got questions, holla at you, girl. So I've got a few tips. I've got about 6 or 7 tips if you're a list kind of maker like me. And I'm just going to start and see where we go with this. So my number one tip for staying consistent and crushing your goals, you guys are going to hate me for saying this, starting with this one, it is knowing your why. And I'm starting with this because a lot of people get lost and they don't really think about what they actually want, and they just go along with what everybody else kind of wants. And you see this a lot in society too, a lot of like keeping up with the Joneses type stuff, right? But you've got to have an internal why that is so frickin' fiery that on days that are hard, on days when people say, no, I don't drink protein shakes, no, I already have a gym workout, no, coaching is bogus and it's part of a pyramid scheme, on days like that, when you come against those kind of objections and stuff, you have got to know your fiery why that is going to be your true North Star, right? So you've got an internal why and an external why. Your external why is like wanting to lose weight, wanting to help people, wanting to change the world. Those are amazing whys, right? And I want those too. But my internal why is so that I never have to ask permission to take a day off, so that I don't have to request a sub and then go in to plan a sub when I'm sick, so that I don't have to just book my holidays for 2 months in the summer and that's it, right? My fiery why, like I made in a post today on my social media, is I want freedom of time always. Money is not my biggest driving factor. While money is great, this opportunity is totally lucrative and can provide huge financial stability for you as you grow your team and help your team succeed. For me, the freedom of time and being able to choose how I start and end my days is the biggest motivating driver for me. Okay, so really know your why. That is number one. That is your top tip, because if you don't know why you're doing this, it's going to be super easy to give it up, right? And just like anything, just know why you're doing it. Number 2, know where you're going, right? What are your goals? Think about this like putting in a destination to a GPS, okay? If you were getting onto a plane and you asked the pilot where you guys were going and he was like, I don't know, we're just going. Would you trust that? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, the fuck, I'm getting off this plane. Like, that is not okay, right? You need to have a destination in mind. And even if you don't quite make it to that destination in the time frame that you set for yourself, as long as you're pointing towards it, the compound effect will take over, right? So you need to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you need to know where you're going, right? I knew from the start when I started this business, I knew that I was going to replace my coaching or replace my teaching income. I knew it. I was like, I'm doing this job. I'm going to replace my, I want to say 9 to 5, but my like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. teaching job, because that's basically what it is. I knew I was going to replace my teaching income. I knew I wanted to crush 6 figures and beyond. I know that I want to be a public speaker. I want to write books. I want to do all these things. I have this end goal in mind, right? And this is what's helping me get there. This is my vehicle that I'm using to get to that place. So know where you're going. Know what your goals are. Get super clear on them. If your goals are to pay off your grocery bill for the month, right? Say you have a goal of making an extra $500 a month. Well, then you better know how many people you need to help each month in order to make that $500 to pay off your grocery bill, right? Because if you just chuck it out there all willy-nilly, it may or may not happen. Most likely not. Success is not an accident. You have to do the thing to get there. So that's number 2. Number 3 is know what you need to do to get there. So I kind of just alluded to that in number 2. Sandy's going to laugh at this one because we just talked about this, but I am huge in setting goals with a backwards by design mindset. So I will figure out what my goal is for the month. Every single start of the month, I do this. Every single Sunday for my week, I do this. Throughout the week, I make sure I'm on track. I set an end goal, and then I figure out the process I need to take to hit that goal, and then I focus on the process instead of the outcome. Here's why. When I sit here and I go, okay, I have a goal of diamond. I'm going to hit diamond. That's awesome, right? I know that diamond is 8 coaches, 4 on each side, and 2 emeralds, right? I know this. But if I just say, I'm going to hit diamond, and then I continue to do whatever during my day, and I send out some invites some days and none some other days, and maybe I'm hosting a group, but I have like 10 repeat challengers and they've all said no to the discount or whatever, I'm nowhere near my goal, right? Whereas if I have a goal of diamond and I'm like, okay, I want to hit diamond by November 16th. I set an end goal. That is a very finite timeline for me. I have from now until November 17th, right? I know I need 6 more coaches and 1 coach to go emerald in order to hit that. So I know that I need to host an epic challenge group with X amount of people so that X amount of people can say yes to discounts. So X amount of people can want to run with this opportunity, right? You have to set your goal and then chunk it back so that you can just focus on your day to day, right? So know what you need to do to get there. Break down. If your goal is Success Club 5 each month and you need to help 3 new people every single month, you're going to need to send and have at least 50 conversations for that to happen, right? That's just the honest truth. You're going to have about 50 conversations to help 3 people in the month. And you know what? Out of those 50 conversations, you might get 30 follow-up names, which you can then keep in contact with and ask for another month. You might get 15 people who don't respond to you, right? And you might get 3 that say, yes, that sounds great. Thanks so much for thinking of me. So you really just need to know, break it down, what you need to do in order to hit your goals. Don't leave it up to chance, because success isn't an accident, right? So number 4 is manage your expectations. I wrote this down actually more for myself than anybody, but perfection is for the birds. I am a self-proclaimed recovering perfectionist, and some days it still gets to me, and I seriously I'm working on it. Like, I'm human, right? This is just forever challenge for me to work on. But I always have to remember that done is better than perfect, right? And so when I'm making graphics, when I'm making groups, when I'm sending invites, when I'm putting up posts on social media, when I'm having conversations, done is always better than perfect, because if you strive for perfection all the time and you're so scared to put something out there that's not quite perfect up to your standards, you might end up not doing it at all. And it's always better to have something out there than nothing, right? So recently I was reminded of this. I had set a goal for myself to have, wait for it, 30 new conversations a day. I was like, yes, I'm a badass. I can send 30 new conversations a day. If I send 30 new conversations a day, like 3 or 4 days a week, that will be so many new potential friends, contacts, coaches, etc. I can do it. Well, guess what happened? Because I set my bar so high, 30 a day, are you joking? Like, that is nuts. That just takes like one thing to derail you, and you're like, well, didn't do it. Well, that's 30. I got to do 60 the next day. Holy shit. Right? So it derailed me completely, and I didn't invite for like 2 weeks. That's what it did to me. And I have been consistent AF since day 1, 2.5 years ago. Like, I do my stuff every single day because I know that consistency and effort over time equals success. So what I'm trying to tell you with this whole story is, when I set my goal way too high of talking to 30 new people every single day, I ended up just not doing it. And so what I did is I went way back to basics. I made myself a new tracker, a daily tracker with a checklist. I made myself a checklist that I'm going to send out 5 thank you notes a day. I'm going to send out 5 new conversations a day, and I'm going to send out 5 follow-up messages a day. That's it. So that's 15 people, but those 3 lists alone, I can make a thank you tracker, I can make a new conversation list, and I can have a follow-up list to talk to those 5 people, right? And so I found that really chunking that down, even if you just talk to 5 new people every single day, if you leave this call with nothing else, if you have 5 new conversations a day, don't even think about it as an invite. If you message 5 new people every single day, I did the math here, that is if you do 3 new conversations a day, 5 days a week, that is 15 new friends / prospective clients / follow-up / coaches per week, which is 45 to 60 new people a month. If you were talking to 45 to 60 new people a month, you better bet your booty that you're going to have a way easier time hitting Success Club, having follow-ups, having people seeing your stuff. Like, that's a lot of people. 45 to 60 new people a month being in conversation with you, that's incredible. And that just takes 3 people a day, 5 days a week. That's not very much, right? So really, with this one, managing your expectations, just focus on your vitals. It's so easy to get shiny syndrome. It's so easy to get caught up in wanting to be excited about everything else. And I want to shoot this number super high to have all these conversations. But if you're anything like me, which is human, you're going to set that number at like 30, and then you're not going to end up doing it. So again, done is better than perfect. All right, number 5, look at inviting through new eyes. I kind of talked about this in that last one, but raise your hand. I can't really see everybody. I just want to see this gallery view. Nice, now I can see you guys. Okay, raise your hand if when you hear the word invite, you get scared shitless. Nice. There it is, like 90% of people. Okay, so here's the deal. We get so scared about inviting, which is hilarious to me because it's such a natural human tendency. Like, you try a new restaurant and you eat something delicious. For me, I find a new gluten-free restaurant and they're amazing. I didn't get sick. They actually know their stuff. I get super pumped about that. And I'm like, yo, local celiacs, go to this place because it's epic, right? You try a new MAC lipstick and you're like, man, that Russian red is snazzy. I want to tell everybody about Russian red. It's actually a really nice MAC lipstick, by the way. Go get it. See what I just did there, though? I just invited you to go buy a freaking lipstick because I love it. Shakeology has changed my life. I have been a celiac for 12 years with insane IBS, insane gastrointestinal issues. My immune system was in the gutter. I would be sick for months at a time. This shit has changed my life. You know that I'm going to be inviting people to try it because it's changed my life too. You have to be so convicted and you have to have your belief so solid in what you're offering people. Like, these workout programs are made by the pros. You guys know that, right? These nutrition programs are made by the pros. You all know that. Shakeology, if you haven't listened to Isabel Deichler's interview she did with the Limitless downline on the weekend, yeah, Brittany's reaction just there, that's why. I posted it in our team page. I'm sure she's posted it too. It was so powerful. Why? Because she speaks from utmost conviction because she's the creator of it and she knows what she's talking about, right? So when you look at inviting through new eyes and you really commit yourself to what you have to offer and really think about it as a gift. When I'm inviting people, I'm not thinking, oh, I wonder if she's going to reject me, right? And that's probably partially because I've done so many bloody invites. Like, I could probably confidently say that I've sent more invites in my time as a coach than everybody on this call combined, right? I can probably confidently say that. But it's not so much because of that, but it's because of the belief and conviction I have that what I have to offer is such a gift for people. And I actually feel selfish if I hold that back. You know, I truly think, like, who am I to hold back the tools that somebody could use to change their life? That's actually just, I mean, it's just rude of me. Like, who am I to judge and be like, well, Sally doesn't look like she'd need it. Like, I'm kind of intimidated by Sally and she seems like she's got it put together. She kind of digs doing her CrossFit thing. Like, I just won't invite her this month. Well, what if I message Sally and Sally's like, yo, I've been going through some depression and I got rank IBS right now. Actually, I would love to try Shakeology and I could use some yoga on my off days. Whoa, didn't even think about that, right? So you never know what people are going through. You never know who's going to benefit from it. It is your responsibility. And it's your responsibility as just a decent human to pay forward these tools and our community and these programs and stuff to people. Because you just never know who needs it, right? You never know. And it's not your responsibility to do anything for anybody. They have to put the work in themselves. But for you to be able to offer it, that is our job, right? Okay. I'm cruising here, speaking pretty fast. This one is going to be a little bullet list of really important ones. So if you are taking notes, write this down. Set a schedule. That is super important. Okay? Set boundaries. That is also super important. If you are answering messages more than, if you're answering messages more than 2 times a day, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Choose a time during the day to answer messages. I legitimately only answer messages for 1 hour of my day, probably from like 11 a.m. till noon. That's it. If anybody messages me after that, I don't answer them back until the next day, unless it's like 11 o'clock the night before the month end and I need to hit Success Club or something, or somebody's getting set up, or somebody's signing up as a coach and needs my help, right? If it's a little bit of an emergency, fine. I'll check my messages again and respond twice. But I do not check my messages more than once a day usually, because otherwise I will go crazy. Along the lines of that, turn your bloody notifications off. Turn them off, okay? Get the newsfeed eradicator. It's a Google Chrome extension. It takes away your newsfeed. It takes away your habit of scrolling. It saves your life. It saves a lot of time, so you can go into Facebook, check into your groups, send your new invites, answer your messages, and get the F off Facebook to go enjoy your life, right? Because it's so easy for us to get sucked into social media since our job is here, right? It's so easy to be like, oh, it's so-and-so's doing this. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, okay. Oh, now I feel kind of shitty about myself because I just compared myself to 17 people on Instagram, right? So try to get in and out as quickly as possible so that you can show up, right, for your people, but also show up for your life. Coaching should not take over your entire life. And I am guilty of this too. Some days where I will look up and I'm like, whoa, I just spent 10 hours doing Beachbody work. And I really only invited probably 15 people, but holy crap, I just spent 10 hours doing everything else. And probably an hour of that combined throughout the day was like meaningless, mindless work. So really try to set boundaries, set your schedule, and turn your notifications off. It makes a really big difference, you guys. That newsfeed eradicator, like I said, it's a really big one. And then along the lines of this, if you go into do your power hour and you go to send your invites, which we can just change what they're called. Let's just change them. They're not called invites anymore. They're called new conversations or friendship starters, or, whatever's going to help you be like, oh, I'm just having a friendship starter right now. That's great. I'm just starting a new conversation. You could say it's your 5 thank yous for the day and just find 5 people to thank. Thank them for showing up in the world. Thank them for liking your post. Thank them for whatever, start with that. Just send 5 messages a day and don't even think about them as invites. Just think of them as conversations. Okay. The last thing with regards to that is when you go to send them and you are feeling nervous because you're like, I don't know if people are going to say no to me. I got my last tip for you here is inhale, exhale, go, right? Breathe in, breathe out, and go. Just do it. Nike. Okay. My last little bunch of tips here for you guys before the call runs. I'm sure that we probably don't have that much time left on the clock here. Hopefully I'm doing okay. Is focus on the system or the process and not the outcome. And I kind of went over this in tip number 2, but I really wanted to bring this one home for you guys, because if you leave this call with nothing else, I really hope that this is what you leave it with. It's so important because, again, when you project yourself to that outcome goal, when you project yourself to that rank advancement, to that increase in pay, to the X number of coaches, you take yourself out of this moment, and this moment is all you ever have. If anybody knows me, you guys know that one of my favorite books is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It was really life changing for me, actually. Last November, I was teaching, coaching volleyball, doing Beachbody coaching, whatever. I was doing a bunch of shit. So I would get up at 5 a.m. I would do my Beachbody work, do my workout, shower, go teach, come home after school, probably eat one thing, go back to school, coach volleyball, come home at 9, do more Beachbody work till 10:30, go to bed, wake up at 5 every day. So by November, I burnt out, and I was getting these I was having panic attacks basically. And so I read this book, Power of Now, and it changed everything for me. So if you find yourself projecting yourself into the future, if you find yourself dealing with any kind of nervousness or anxiety, or just want to live a more calm and spiritual presence, read that book. It's epic. Anyways, so I wanted to talk about the last tip, which is focusing on the system or the process. Like I said, focusing on the now. Write out the things that you need to do daily, that if you do those things, the outcome that you want will happen as a byproduct. Okay, so I know that these are mine. If I show up daily for me, right? If I do my morning meditation, if I read my PD over coffee, if I write out my affirmations, and do my workout, if I do those things for me, and Shakeology is a given because I will never stop drinking until I die. But if I do those things for me and I show up for me, then I am the best version of myself that I can give to other people, right? That's a really key factor. If you go in and you're like, I'm just going to send all the invites today, I don't have time for PD or working out or anything, like, you are going to crash and burn so freaking fast. It is not funny. And it's not funny because then when it happens, you're like, oh, my business is in a funk. No, you're in a funk and you are your business. So you better take care of you first, girlfriend. Okay. So if I show up daily for me, that's huge. If I post 2 to 4 times a day, something of value, right? Really take 5 to 10 minutes and put out a good post, and it doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't take a lot of effort. You can just take a nice picture. If you're eating your lunch, take a nice picture of your lunch in front of the window so the light is going at it, right? Take your pic and then leave it. Eat your lunch without your phone. That's important. And then afterwards, you can put it up with something that you're doing today or whatever, so just get creative in the time blocks that you actually have, right? Post 2 to 4 times with something of value, something that you would appreciate seeing on social media. If I start 3 to 5 new conversations a day, I know that if I do that, then the outcome will come, right? I will hit Success Club. I will have new people joining my groups. I will have new coaches joining our team if I have those 3 to 5 new combos a day. If I host a monthly group that I am present in, that is a really big one, you guys. If you are hosting a group and you're on autopilot and all your posts are scheduled and you're not in there showing your challenges that you're the best damn challenger there ever was, then your people aren't going to see you and they're not going to feel your support. So it's super important to host awesome challenge groups. That is truly where the best coaches come from. Everybody on this call, who joined a challenge group before coaching? I'm curious. Half. Cool. Okay, who jumped into coaching right off the bat? Couple people? Sweet. Okay, wow, we got about half people. That's awesome. Okay, but it's super important because, again, even for the people that joined without joining a challenge group, you saw your coach showing up on social media, posting those 2 to 4 things of value, probably sharing transformations from people that are in their challenge group, probably sharing transformations of coaches, right? So it all comes together. And finally, if I follow up with people, I know that if I do those 5 things, if I'm showing up for me, if I'm posting daily, if I'm having 3 to 5 new convos, if I'm hosting a monthly group and I'm doing my follow-ups, if I do those things, I will have a successful business. There's no way that I can't. And so the rest of the outcomes, that rank, that income, that Success Club, that will come by me focusing on that process, So just know that you can have success because, of course, if any other coach can do it, so can you. I look at some of the top coaches in the network and I'm like, man, they are just a human. That's just a person who's just been doing it longer than me, and it's super easy to get caught up in thinking you need to be there already, like thinking you need to be there, so then just giving up on yourself. And I like to think of it like, if this Perrier is a mountain, I'm such a teacher, eh? What a nerd. Okay, if this Perrier is a mountain, the laps around the mountain are the time that you spend coaching. And the people that are at the top have just been doing the same frickin' behaviors longer than you. That is it. That's it. They're not better at it than you. They don't have more talent. They don't have extra resources or more time in the day than you, right? But what they have done is stayed consistent over time. So now they're sitting on top of the Perrier going, sweet, I'm living this epic lifestyle because I've been around more times. If you're starting here, don't you dare compare yourself to somebody who's up here. Just keep going around, right? Just keep doing those vitals, keep showing up. Consistency is truly the key to success. And that is what I have for you.
With time to spare.
I know. Good job.
Mic drop. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't know about you guys. I'm assuming so, but I have my page is lit up with a ton of awesome notes, which is super exciting. And I thought this thing was only 20 minutes, but we're still recording and haven't got the 10-minute warning yet. So I'm super pumped for all of us because we can ask questions. But kind of what Marie just touched on was something that I did is I went, honestly, for pretty much the entire summer, went on full-blown autopilot in all of my challenge groups and everything. And I was just I wasn't fueling me. And it was the hardest, most difficult time in my coaching career. And when I used to be able to hit Success Club 10 with no worries, this was the hardest time to find 3 people to help. And it's all about fueling yourself, making yourself feel good, and then helping others. And that's the most important. anything you do throughout your day, make sure you get your stuff done first, your personal development, your workout, do what makes you feel good, because if you don't have that cup filled, then it's going to be a struggle. Another thing I wanted to touch on too, was comparing to top coaches and everything. Cause I mean, like, God, especially for those of you who are at Summit, you're like, I want to be there. And then you come home and then it's like, just kidding, back into reality. Like, here I am struggling with my internet, driving to like another small town to get internet. And like, I'm not a top coach, but you got to start somewhere. And it was kind of crazy because today I dove into like old Amy Silverman YouTube videos of like long time ago when she still had like crazy frizzy hair and not like, she was about to have the most epic life ever, but wasn't quite there yet. And she was just still showing up every single day, sharing her journey, diving completely into her workouts, her nutrition, and just sharing. And that was her like biggest tip that I got out of like all my YouTube that I listened to while I cleaned my house today was, start with just your transformations, share it, because people love that. And that is our business, is helping each other, making yourself feel good and sharing that with each other. So I'm pumped. I'm not sure about you guys, but I don't know if you guys can unmute yourself, or maybe I have to do it, but if you guys have any questions, please ask them, and we'll spend a few minutes here until this thing tells us we got to go. I may have to unmute you guys. Okay, I'm unmuting all.
Howdy. Does anybody have any questions about it? Or about anything, actually? I'm pretty open. Discussing whatever.
Hands up, who got the workout in today?
Nice. Me too.
Nice.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even get mine in today. Ooh, I'm doing yoga after this. That's why. Just lied. Jeez.
Right to our faces.
I know. Yeah. No, I'm doing yoga after this because I slept in this morning until, wait for it, 9:30.
Nice.
Just so you guys know, for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm usually up at like 5:30. So that was like an extra day of time for me. But I needed it.
Because you were up so early the other day teaching.
I know. Okay, so we could talk about this real quick. We could talk about going out of your comfort zone because Stacy's on too, and she's going to help me with this. For anybody that doesn't know, I was P90X Live certified in June. And I actually never thought I would do this, but I went to Stacy's class at Motion, and she's a freaking maniac. She's so awesome. And I was like, man, I just love what you do. And she was like, hey, you should go to the training. There's one in Regina. I was like, oh, it's like, I can. So why would I not? So I go to do this training, I get certified, and then I go traveling all summer. And I was like, man, this thing kind of seems scary now. I have to like go talk to the people at the gym to ask if I can learn how to teach it, and I have to like learn it myself and take initiative. And it's just scary. It got scary. And so I let it grow. And you know, when you like procrastinate on something, it grows into this like hairy, scary monster in your head. And by the end of it, you're just like, no, I'm just gonna crawl under a rock. Like I would rather just do that. So I really, truly didn't think I would teach. And then I talked to Stacy and I was like, man, maybe I'll just like come to your class one more time and like see how you do it. And she was like, no, like come to my class and like come teach half of it with me. That'd be great. So basically I'm blaming Stacy for making me jump out of my comfort zone. So I learned the friggin' workout, went the next day, taught a quarter of the class with her. She made me go on stage with her, which was awesome. Got my first class out of my way. Yesterday, I taught 5:45 in the morning. I taught 3/4 of the class with another instructor. Yeah, and then now I'm like feel good about myself, and I'm going to put myself on the sub list and start teaching. But the point of this whole ramble that just took 2.5 minutes is that I went so far out of my comfort zone during that first class, even though it was with Stacy, somebody who I know and enjoy spending time with. But I went so far out of my comfort zone that I made myself feel like a badass. So anytime that you feel like you are pushing your comfort zone and you feel like you get that like I don't know feeling and your shoulders go up and you're like stop breathing because you feel so nervous, that probably means that it's a fear that you need to face, you know. And the more you flex that comfort zone muscle, the easier it gets and the more confident you become and the like taller you'll hold yourself and the more excited you will be about who you are, right? So there's that tangent. So basically it's easy. Yeah. Are there any other questions? If there's not, we can finish, but this is your time. Pick a brain.
Anything?
It's all good. If you guys are nervous or nobody has a question they can think of in like 5 minutes after the call, you realize it, just ask Brett, ask me, post in the team page, whatever.
Yeah, and we will make sure that all questions get to whoever they need to be. But yes, I just wanted to thank you guys for spending your Tuesday night with us. I'm so pumped with the 13 of you guys who all popped on. We greatly appreciate it, and your business is going to appreciate it. This is something that you guys are committing to, and for you showing up really just shows that initiative that you're taking into your business, and you're deciding to really go for it. So thank you for joining this. And thank you, Boomerang, for joining us, because I know my girls are tired of listening to my voice, as tired as I am. So thank you guys for joining us. And we love seeing your faces. So I will stop the recording. And as soon as I get it loaded onto YouTube, I'll send you guys the link too, so everybody can have it and all that wonderful jazz.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Britt. I hope that was helpful.
Oh, it was fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome Tuesday, and go kill your October. Bye, guys.
See you guys.